December 27, 1942, 14,000 feet above Buna, New Guinea. The air is boiling with heat, smoke, and something far more dangerous. The sun hangs low over the jungle, bleeding orange light across a battlefield few men ever see from this height. Below, the coast is a patchwork of burning supply dumps and muddy trails carved by months of brutal fighting. But up here, it's another world entirely. A world of vibrating aluminum, searing engine noise, and the ever-present knowledge that death hangs just a few inches beyond the canopy glass. Second Lieutenant Richard Dick Bong grips the control yoke of his P-38 Lightning, knuckles white, eyes scanning the sky in frantic jerking motions. The Lightning's twin Allison engines scream behind him, the kind of sound that's supposed to make a pilot feel invincible, but right now it feels like the sky itself is hunting him. A sharp burst of 7.7mm tracer fire cuts across his field of vision, green streaks slicing upward like thrown knives. The cockpit fills with the stench of cordite and hot metal as more rounds snap past the canopy. You can almost hear Bong's heartbeat over the engines. A Japanese A6M0 flashes across his tail, diving past him with terrifying grace. Bong instinctively jerks the Lightning into a hard right roll, too hard. The P-38 shudders as one engine threatens to torque him into the jungle below. He's not ready for this. Not yet. His squadron, the 9th Fighter Squadron, the Flying Knights, breaks toward the enemy like a pack of wolves. Over the radio there's shouting, half-cut transmissions, the clipped calm of veterans who've survived too many of these dogfights. Someone calls, "Zero's at your 6, break left, break left!" But Bong doesn't break left. He does the one thing a fighter pilot is never supposed to do. He pulls the Lightning into a steep, shaking climb, straight up and away from the fight. The canopy fogs from his own breath as he gasps for air, adrenaline flooding his veins. The world outside becomes a smear of sky and sun. The Lightning trembles dangerously. Bong glances over his shoulder. The Zero isn't following. Not yet. Below him, the dogfight churns like a nest of hornets. His squadron mates disappear into a swirl of twisting contrails and muzzle flashes. Bong watches it with a paralyzing mix of guilt and relief. He tells himself it was instinct, terrain, speed, angle, anything to justify the one truth clawing in his chest. He ran. The Lightning levels out at the top of the climb, engines howling like wounded beasts. Bong's breath finally steadies, but the shame does not. He knows the rules. He knows what men will say. And he knows, even before his wheels touch the ground at 12 Mile Drome, that this moment will follow him. Hours later, as the sun sinks behind the Owen Stanley Range, the whispers begin. Bong broke formation. Kid panicked. Nearly got Vardis shot down. Not sure he's cut out for this. A few are harsher. One word stands out above the rest, a word that sticks like a blade. Coward. And the worst part of him fears they're right. But this is not the end of Dick Bong's story. It's the beginning. Because what looks like fear, what looks like hesitation, is something else. Something no one sees yet. Something that will soon turn him into the most lethal American ace of the entire war. But for now, the sky owns him, and everyone knows it.
Chaotic, and chaos favors the pilot who trusts his instincts. Bong throws the Lightning into a roll, smooth, controlled, nothing like the panic climb from before. A Zero overshoots him, slicing too wide. Bong sees the mistake instantly. He flips the Lightning over, drops in behind the Japanese fighter, lines up his 4.50 caliber Brownings and 20mm cannon. Finger tense, breath steady, sky narrowing into a single target. He fires. A bright, violent burst erupts from the nose. The Zero shudders, peels off trailing smoke, then explodes in a spiraling bloom of flame. Bong goes silent. No cheering, no celebration, just stunned clarity. Lynch's voice cuts through the radio. "Good hit. That was you, wasn't it, Bong?" Bong doesn't answer, but everyone knows. The man who was mocked for running away just saved the squadron from an ambush and scored his first kill with the precision of a veteran. As the remaining Zeros scatter, the Flying Knights reorganize and push the attackers back toward the coast. Bong stays with them this time, confident, alert. The shame of yesterday replaced by a strange new energy. Instinct sharpened, fear focused, a spark ignited. When the squadron returns to base, no one whispers behind his back. Instead, they look at him differently, curious, almost cautious. They saw what he saw. They followed his call. They lived because of it. And somewhere deep inside, Bong feels a truth settling into place. The sky isn't his enemy, it's his element. And soon, very soon, he will master it in ways no American pilot ever has. January 27th, 1943. The war over New Guinea grows hotter by the hour, and something in Dick Bong is changing. The mornings start the same way, red dust swirling across the tarmac, humid air clinging to every breath, mechanics elbow-deep in oil and exhaust. But Bong's presence on the flight line now feels different, like a wire pulled tight, humming with potential energy. He still keeps to himself, still runs a hand across the Lightning's aluminum skin before every flight, whispering small, private rituals. But the pilots who once joked about him now fall silent when he walks past. Not because he's dangerous, not yet, but because they recognize something in his eyes, a pilot starting to see the sky in a way others don't. And Lynch sees it too. That afternoon, the captain approaches him beside the revetment. "You've got something rare," Lynch tells him quietly, leaning against the wing. "Most men learn how to fight, but you feel the fight." Bong doesn't know what to say. Instinct is instinct. It's not something he trained for. It's just something that happens, like hearing a whisper others can't. Lynch hands him a small notebook. "Start writing down what you see. Angles, approaches, distances, the things you notice before everyone else." Bong flips through the blank pages. "You want me to keep a diary?" he asks. Lynch grins. "I want you to become lethal." That night, under the dim glow of a lantern, Bong begins filling the notebook, not with emotions, not with fear, but with patterns, where Zeros dive from, how long they hold a climb, when they stall, how their pilots panic, what they do when surprised. Everything. Every small instinct becomes a line. Every line becomes knowledge. Every piece of knowledge becomes a weapon. Days pass. Missions come and go. And slowly, quietly, Bong transforms from a pilot trying to survive into a predator studying his prey. Then comes the day everything changes. February 3rd, 1943, above the Salamaua, New Guinea. A flight of 8 Lightnings escort bombers toward Japanese-held positions. Bong flies in the second element, not leading, but watching. At 18,000 feet, clouds smear the horizon. Visibility shifts like a curtain opening and closing. Bong senses it before he sees it. A faint tremor in the air, a glint, a strange stillness between the bomber formations. He scans left, nothing. Right, nothing. Then, there, a lone Zero rising from below, its pilot confident, eager to strike the B-25 formation before the escort reacts. But Bong sees him first. His voice cuts through the radio. "One climbing up, dead ahead, low." Before the words even finish, he's already diving. The P-38 screams downward, engines threatening to tear free from their mounts. The Zero pilot doesn't see him, not until it's too late. Bong squeezes the trigger. The burst is surgical, precise, devastating. The Zero erupts in a ball of flame that rolls into the cloud layer below. But Bong doesn't pull up. He banks hard left, not toward safety, but toward the cluster of clouds where he knows the rest of the Japanese flight will be. His squadron mates shout over the radio, "Bong, where are you going? Break off! You're heading into a nest!" He doesn't listen.
He enters the cloud bank like a knife slicing cloth. Moisture beads across the canopy. The world turns gray, silent, claustrophobic. Then, as he bursts out the far side, he sees them. 4 zeros climbing in formation, unaware that the predator has just entered their blind spot. Bong flips the lightning over and drops behind the last aircraft. A calm settles over him, the kind that only comes to men who no longer question what they are. He fires once. 1 zero disintegrates. He rolls right, adjusting angle. Fires again. A second zero spirals down trailing smoke. The other 2 scatter, panicked. Minutes later, Bong emerges from the clouds, engines growling, guns smoking, adrenaline pushing his pulse into the stratosphere. He doesn't brag, doesn't celebrate, barely speaks, but the squadron knows. 4 enemy aircraft, 1 mission, 1 pilot. The whispers are gone now, replaced by something else entirely. Respect, fear, recognition. The quiet lieutenant who once ran from a dogfight is becoming the most dangerous man in the skies above New Guinea, and Japan will feel it very soon. March 12, 1943. Above the Huon Gulf, New Guinea. Dawn breaks over a sky painted with smoke, sun, and the promise of combat. Dick Bong climbs into his P-38, the canopy reflecting streaks of gold and crimson. The jungle below is quiet for now, but he knows the lull won't last. Every mission brings the whisper of zeros and the roar of enemy bombers searching for Allied ships. Every flight is a chance to survive or die. But Bong doesn't think about survival anymore, not the way he used to. Fear is no longer his master, it's a tool, a pulse he can read, manipulate, and use to his advantage. His instincts have sharpened into deadly precision. The squadron takes off, formation tight, engine screaming in perfect sync. Bong's eyes scan constantly, every horizon, every angle, every cloud hiding danger. His notebook, memorized line by line, runs through his mind. He can almost anticipate the enemy's moves before they happen. Then it begins. A Japanese G-4M Betty bomber appears on the horizon, flanked by 6 Zero fighters. The enemy formation moves with casual confidence, unaware of the silent storm approaching. Bong calculates instantly. Approach from sun glare, force the rear Zeros to overcommit, isolate the bomber. He signals the squadron, precise hand gestures, silent and effective. They respond without hesitation, trained to follow, but inspired by his instinct. The attack is surgical. The lightning dives, the guns blaze, tracer rounds slicing the sky. Bong's first target, a rear Zero, is hit, spiraling down in flames. He rolls into a second, third, each shot precise, each maneuver deliberate. The bomber is riddled, its engines smoking, trailing debris. For the first time, the pilots who once mocked him are silent in awe. They watch a man they thought cowardly control the chaos of battle as if it were a chessboard, every movement calculated, every instinct deadly. After the engagement, the squadron lands back at base. There's no cheering, just looks of astonishment. Bong did what? 4 kills in 1 mission? Did you see that dive? That wasn't luck. That was genius. Bong removes his helmet, sweat dripping, lungs burning, adrenaline still coursing. He doesn't speak. He never does immediately. But inside, he knows the transformation is complete. From mockery to legend. From whispered accusations of cowardice to the respect of every man in the squadron. And yet, something gnaws at him. The enemy is still out there. Each engagement grows deadlier. Each victory is just a pause in the relentless tide of war. He knows one misstep, one hesitation, and death will claim him without ceremony. But for now, he is untouchable. For now, he is America's deadliest ace in the making. The journey has only begun. April 19, 1943. 20,000 feet above the Solomon Sea. Clouds scatter like shattered glass across the horizon, hiding both friend and foe. Dick Bong adjusts the throttles of his P-38 Lightning, twin engines roaring with the confidence of a predator. The sun glints off the canopy, casting his shadow across the clouds below. He has flown countless missions since that first day of mockery, each one sharpening reflexes, instincts, and judgment. The boy labeled a coward is gone. In his place stands a hunter, cool, calculating, unrelenting. Ahead, a formation of 8 Japanese Zeros flanks a solitary G-4M bomber. Instinctively, Bong notes their spacing, altitude, and the subtle tilts of the lead Zero's wings. His squadron is positioned to strike, but he doesn't wait. He is ahead of them, thinking, calculating, predicting the enemy's every move. "Eyes on me," he whispers under his breath. Not to anyone, not to the squadron, to himself. His pulse steady, hands firm. The first Zero dives. Bong rolls into position, guns blazing. One burst, and the fighter spirals, flames licking the clouds. Another Zero comes from his left. He flips the Lightning, lines up, fires again. Precision. Calm. Ruthless. By the time the bomber hits the water in a trail of smoke, 4 enemy planes lie destroyed in the sky. The remaining Zeros retreat, wary, startled, unable to predict the pilot who moves like a shadow across the clouds. This is the man who once ran, once hesitated, once was mocked. Now every move is decisive, every action lethal, every instinct correct. Back at WWII airfield, word spreads fast. Pilots gather around Bong as he taxis in. Faces reflect awe, disbelief, and respect. Captain Lynch steps forward, eyes meeting Bong's. "You've done it again," Lynch says, voice low. 40 confirmed kills now. Nobody else comes close. Bong exhales exhausted. He doesn't smile. He never does. But inside, the satisfaction is immense. The boy they call the coward has become America's deadliest ace. Not by luck, not by bravado, but by instinct, by study, by turning fear into precision, by trusting the inner voice they all ignored. He walks off the flight line, the heat of the day baking his uniform, sweat still clinging to his forehead. Around him, the world continues. Jungle sounds, distant gunfire, the low roar of returning aircraft. But Bong is different. The sky belongs to him now. The whispers are gone. The mockery is gone. Only legend remains. And yet, for the viewer, the question lingers. How does a boy once